Imagine this. You bring your dog Fido to the vet for a regular checkup. Normally you are by Fido's side for his checkup, but the receptionist sternly tells you to take a seat in the lobby. Confused by what is going on, you take a seat and think to yourself, this isn't normal, but this is only the beginning. 30 minutes later, the vet rushes out, dragging Fido behind them and hands you a bunch of paperwork. Instead of petting Fido and telling him how good he was, the vet immediately starts telling you, almost demanding, that you let them run a bunch of tests on him immediately. Parasite prevention, dental care, heartworm tests, and blood work. But you don't understand. Fido is 2 years old and just saw the vet a few months ago and was told he was in great shape, but now the vet is making you question that. Overwhelmed by the situation and unable to ask Fido what is wrong, you tell the vet to run all the tests because you just want what's best for Fido. The vet smiles and takes Fido back, but little do you know this is all part of their plan. And soon you will have hundreds, if not thousands of dollars worth of bills for tests Fido really never needed. But what's going on here? Well, little do you know, the vet is now owned by a private equity company who is hungry for profits at any cost, and you'll probably never know that they own your local vet because that's how they want it. And get this, these private equity companies are spending millions, if not billions of dollars buying up vets all across America. In fact, they now own 25% of all practices. With this new ownership comes changes, and these changes are rarely in favor of pet owners and their pets. So in this video, we'll talk about the rise of private equity ownership in vets, why private equity's thirst for profits comes at the cost of life, and why you and your pet should be worried. So what exactly are private equity companies? In simple terms, they're investment companies that get big pools of money from deep-pocketed investors, wealthy individuals, and pensions. They use this cash to acquire businesses they think are undervalued or struggling. The classic strategy is to load them up with massive debt, then make drastic changes to rapidly boost profits. We're talking stuff like cutting staff, slashing costs, selling parts of the business, and jacking up prices for customers. The goal is to then sell the business within 5 to 7 years for a huge gain. These firms don't care about communities or jobs. It's all about profits. Private equity takeovers often leave companies drowning in debt and consumers dealing with higher costs or worse service. And now they're coming for our pets. But why are private equity firms buying all of the vet practices? Well, Fido and Fluffy have never been more pampered and adored. Pet spending reached $124 billion in 2021, up from just $90 billion in 2018, since our furry friends are increasingly viewed as family. Remarkably, pet ownership grew from just 36% of households in 1988 to 70% of households in 2021. With more mouths to feed, pets to pamper, and trips to the vet, the animal care industry has grown steadily despite recessions and pandemics. Vet care spending alone grew at nearly 3 times the rate of inflation from 2003 to 2021. And get this, vet spending per household grew 149% over the same period. So these private equity guys see all this and get an idea. Vets are a reliable, cash-flowing business that can easily pay off the debt these investors pile on. It's still a fragmented cottage industry out there, with mom-and-pop animal docs practicing solo or in small clinics. The vets are often great at medicine, but not so savvy on the business side. That's where the sharp-suited private equity firms come in, buying up practices across the nation and consolidating them, claiming they can increase efficiency through economies of scale. But are Fido and Fluffy actually getting better care, or is there something more sinister going on? Well, private equity has been buying up human healthcare companies for a while, so let's look there to see what we can expect. In 2021 alone, private equity companies spent over $200 billion on healthcare acquisitions, snatching up everything they could. Now, private equity firms own a staggering 25% of US hospitals and 70% of physician practices. In human healthcare, this corporate ownership has already led to reduced services and worse patient outcomes. One study found an 11% increase in Medicare billing after private equity takeover. At private equity-owned nursing homes, risky antipsychotic drug use has increased while staffing has declined. And get this, studies show Medicare patient deaths rose 10% in private equity-owned facilities. Human healthcare offers a chilling warning example of how unchecked corporate ownership can undermine care and community. As the vet buyout frenzy accelerates, will our animal hospitals and clinics face the same fate? But what does this mean for the people working in private equity-owned vet clinics? Under private equity management, acquiring firms often make cuts, reducing vet and support staff to dangerously low levels. They'll hire less qualified team members to save money, putting pets at risk. Remaining vets report immense pressure to cram in more patients per day and hit revenue goals, even if it means skimping on care. While this relentless focus on productivity and profits leads to staff burnout, in fact, only 44% of vets now recommend the career, down from 75% in 2005. Private equity firms are mandated by investors to maximize short-term profits, so experienced vets making a decent living are just a cost to be minimized. Quality medicine and and long-term pet health don't show up on the balance sheet. There are only quotas to be met, revenue to extract, and bonuses to be earned. So your pets are being transformed into dollars and cents. Unchecked corporate ownership risks forcing vets to choose between providing compromised care or losing their job for not hitting targets. And it could fundamentally change our practices where profits trump medicine and pets are commodities, not companions. So how does this impact pet owners and their wallets? Many common procedures now cost over 10 times more than a decade ago. Pet owners report even higher prices after acquisitions, with few of the promised savings being passed on. And at private equity-owned clinics, owners face immense pressure to approve expensive, often unnecessary diagnostics and treatments. And it's hard to know what's best. Our pets can't tell us how they feel, so we rely on the vet's guidance, since private equity firms know you will spare no expense for your pet. As they buy up all the vets in the area, they gain monopoly pricing power. Your only options are their clinics, pushing unnecessary care at inflated prices. So unchecked acquisitions could fundamentally alter pet care as we know it. But isn't anyone trying to stop this? Well, the government has started to take notice of this private equity vet buyout bonanza. But what does that really mean? The FTC is concerned about highly concentrated specialty and emergency care markets, and for good reason. Get this, the top 4 private equity-owned consolidators acquired over 1,000 practices just since 2017, acquiring clinics at an accelerating pace. And corporately owned clinics are concentrated in certain regions, limiting consumer choice. Mars now owns over 2,000 practices after acquiring VCA and Banfield. Combined with Jab, these two corporate kingpins control over 50% of the specialty vet market. This aggressive acquisition spree results in less consumer choice and access to independent vets, which then leads to higher costs. Independent-owned vet practices are projected to drop to just 50% by 2023. Less independent ownership means corporations will be able to control pricing and care. Unchecked acquisitions would allow a few giants to dominate the market, putting profits over pets. We need regulators and lawmakers to curb this buyout mania before it's too late. So what can you do right now to protect your pet? Well, for one, advocate for pricing transparency and ask vets directly if they are corporately owned. Seek out independent vets focused on care, not profits. Ask trusted vets how you can support them staying independent. With knowledge and vigilance, we can curb profiteering and ensure quality care remains the priority, not private equity profits.